This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news, and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Georgia Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
Greetings, salutations, and how you doing? For the next 30 minutes or so, our home is your home. Welcome to the Georgia Farm Monitor. I'm Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. It's that time of year again, time when Georgia young farmers head to Washington, D.C. and fight for ag issues affecting the industry. Hear why lawmakers say this trip is a must for the future of farming. Also on the show, if you're a producer, why it's imperative to be connected on social media and how the internet continues to change the ag industry as we know it.
And then later.
Hey everybody, Ranger Nick back with you again this month talking turf grass, and I'm hanging out with a golf course superintendent who's going to show us how UGA is contributing all kinds of research to environmental quality right out here on the greens. It's all starting right now on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
And we begin in our nation's capital, where every year at this time, lawmakers on the Hill get to hear from Georgia young farmers about the issues most concerning to them and to the ag industry in general. But given the state of our union, not to mention the political uncertainty in Washington, are those concerns really being heard, or are they falling on deaf ears? Well, recently, the Monitor tagged along to find the answer to those questions and others. Most agree today's young farmer faces many more challenges than any generation before them. This year alone, they're learning everything they can about EPA overreach, GMO labeling, protecting crop insurance, and TPP, otherwise known as the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Confusing? Absolutely. A deterrent from doing what they love? Absolutely not.
The thing that I'm quoted as saying is that I'm not doing any of this for me. I'm doing it for the future generations. And I think of my two sons at home that are 4 and 1.5, and I know that for them to be able to enjoy the same kind of agricultural pursuits that I have, I must be here. It's not a choice for me. It's something that I must do to try and help pave the way and allow them to enjoy the same opportunities that I've had.
Us being able to complain on the farm to other farmers and in meeting groups of that nature, that doesn't do anything. The only thing that actually brings what we need is being able to come into these offices and be able to bend a legislator's ear and tell them what's going on in our farm. A lot of times that they were talking about that they get Washingtonized. They're only in the city, and they don't get to realize what they're signing, what they're passing, and how it affects us on the daily practice. We're looked at, need to be looked at more as a small business and not as much as a farming enterprise or an operation. We're a business, and we are trying to do good for our family with our business.
And with that in mind, who better to have in your corner than two lawmakers who excelled in business long before even stepping foot in Washington? Talking, of course, about Georgia Senators Johnny Isakson and David Perdue. Senator Isakson telling me that those in agriculture who still feel their voice can't and won't make a difference, it's as simple as this.
In Washington, if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. You get regulated, you get taxed, and pretty soon you're out of business. But if you're in Washington articulating your issues, explaining to the policymakers like me what labeling means to agricultural products, what ag policy means to your farm, what it means to Georgia as our economy, then you're not out of sight, but you're in sight and you're not out of mind. You're in Washington, D.C., and you'll be treated right.
You know, I'll never forget the first time I came to Washington. I looked at it like, you know, what can I do as one individual? But, you know, in today and time, all the challenges that they have, and you know, surveys just came out where one of the most critical, important issues facing agriculture, and particularly young farmers, are government regulations. And this is where they need to come. This is the place they need to come and be heard. Yes, they are only maybe one person, but it's very, very important. And the young farmers, as they are our future leaders, it's very important that we can get them to come up here and see what it's like. And normally, you get them to come one time, they're willing to come back.
And in some cases, numerous trips to Washington fighting for the good of agriculture can even result in someday being in charge of the largest general farm organization in the United States.
You know, they don't need to worry about how we get there and what we say. If they need to come, we'll make sure they get in front of the right people and we'll make sure that we help them style their story in a way that can be most effective for them and the people that do the same things that they do at home. It is important for them to be outside their fence rows, involved in policy making that not only affects their life and their family's life, but their community and farmers and ranchers across this country.
And if you'd like to learn more about the major ag issues currently in front of lawmakers in Washington, D.C., you can do so by logging on to the American Farm Bureau website. That is www.fb.org.
Happening now, a pecan grower referendum conducted by USDA. By now, you should have received your ballots. Voting ends on March 30th. From now until then, growers have the opportunity to express their preference for acceptance of the federal marketing order for pecans. Additionally, voters will indicate their average in-shell production from 2011 until 2014. Qualification for a grower to vote is either 50,000 in-shell pounds of average production over the 4 years or 30 pecan acres, including planted acreage not yet in production. Meantime, the Tifton Bull Evaluation Center is a service that UGA Extension operates to help improve genetics and the overall quality of the Georgia beef cattle industry.
Yeah, and every year cattle producers send young bulls to the center that is managed by UGA cattle specialists, and at the end of that program, many of the bulls are sold to the highest bidder. The Monitor's Mark Wildman has the story.
If a cattle producer is in the market for a top quality bull, the Tifton Bull Evaluation Center in early March is the place to be. Here, one right after another, bulls are sold to cattlemen looking for bulls that have been through an advanced program that is overseen by experts from UGA.
These cattle come to us in early fall, usually around the first week of October, and they're on a 100-day performance test. We see how much these cattle can gain, what their ability to get out and work and put weight on their calves is going to be. Evaluate that, and then the top 2/3 of those animals get to stay around here for today, and we offer them to the public for sale. Most of these bulls are going to be destined for commercial operations across the southeast, and they're going to be focused on producing calves that grow off quickly and make it to the market in an efficient manner.
There were around 190 bulls on test this year, and over the years the popularity of this facility keeps growing.
This is the 58th annual test, and it's known nationally as well as in Georgia as being one of the leading tests for quality bulls and consistently quality bulls and higher prices for the bulls depending on whatever the markets are at the time.
Will Bentley is the executive vice president of the Georgia Cattlemen's Association. He not only enjoys participating in the sale, but knows what a tremendous asset this center is to the state.
So you have some of the best breeders in the state and some new guys as well, but you're able to pick up some great genetics all in one place across all breeds, from Simmental, Angus, Hereford, Charolais, Red Angus. We got pretty much every breed here that you find across the southeast and specifically here in Georgia.
These cattle are consigned to us, so the university never takes ownership of these cattle. This is simply a service that we provide to the public. It runs on a zero budget, so the fee that they're assessed when they come in simply covers the feed that those cattle consume and any veterinary expenses that they may have. Covers anything they need to have done to get them ready to go to sale.
Georgia cattle producers are enjoying good prices of late, but good management practices need to be followed, and this sale is an important part of the process.
We find that cattlemen, they really tend to pay a lot more attention to their management. They tend to pay a lot more attention to the way things are being done on their place if it affects their bottom line. So if they have money invested and they stand to make money at this sale, they tend to respond to the industry a little quicker. They tend to become a little bit more progressive. And that's what we're trying to do here, is just make sure that we provide a program for these guys so that they stay in touch with the modern industry and have a way to market these cattle.
As the bulls are sold, the hope here is that some cattle producers made some money, and others may have benefited from improved genetics on their farm, and the entire industry gets better and healthier.
Really, really good set of bulls, and we certainly see a lot of improvement from year to year. We have producers who've been coming here for a long time, and these cattle seem to get better every year.
In Irwin County, I'm Mark Wildman for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
After the break, how social media is changing the landscape of agriculture and why more and more agribusinesses are turning to it to increase their profit margin. That's next when the Georgia Farm Monitor continues. And welcome back. After producers were reminded about the importance of ag advocacy at the recent GFB President's Conference, we decided to take a look at how folks on the farm are using online technology to keep consumers informed and in some cases to promote agritourism. Every day, more and more of you are using your smartphones and tablets to get your news and information. In fact, many of you may be watching us right now on a smartphone or tablet. A 2014 Pew Research survey indicates 19% of Americans got their news on a social media network in a given 24-hour period. Pew reports that more American adults consume news on mobile devices, with 64% of tablet owners and 62% of smartphone owners getting news and information from their devices on a regular basis. Social media is a huge part of that information sharing, too. Agriculture has found that social media is playing a major role in getting out positive messages about the industry and messages they want their consumers to consume.
Our goal with social media here at the farm is to stay in touch with our customers. We use social media to post about what's happening here on the farm on a day-to-day basis. For example, this week we've been showing that we've been pruning peach trees and getting ready for peach season. And we've also highlighted different times of year, like at Christmas time. We've got a bunch of packages going out for gifts and everything for our mail order department. So it keeps our customers in contact with what we're doing here on a day-to-day basis.
Matthias is a regular user of the social media site Facebook. She said it has changed the way Pearson Farm in Central Georgia promotes their products year-round.
Our customers do stay in touch with us via our Facebook page. They will leave comments about peaches that they purchased, whether it was from here at the farm or even at the farmers markets in Atlanta, just talking about how great and delicious our peaches are, of course. We also hear about our pecans when people come in and purchase pecans either in our retail or if they order them online and have them shipped to their home.
Pearson Farm has also turned to a professional company to help manage their company website and their tweets on Twitter.
We made that step a couple of years ago just to kind of help take us to the next level, so to speak, and just see, just to grow more and just to be able to be in contact with our customers more, not just with our website and here at the farm, but through social media as well. And that's really grown with that particular marketing company because that was something that we were not really doing very much here on the farm.
Just like Pearson Farm, a large number of you have found that interacting on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat, email, and text all play a role in supporting your overall marketing plan and delivering a positive message about agriculture.
Yes. We are definitely making Facebook and Twitter and even Pinterest a priority as to making sure that we post on a frequent basis and being in contact with our customers that way.
Now, according to agriculture.com, a recent study found that 42% of farmers who use Facebook and Twitter are using it every day. A study also discovered that farmers are more likely to be found on social media in the early morning hours or in the evening.
Now, meantime, the Georgia Farm Bureau Water Committee recently held their meeting at the Stripling Irrigation Research Facility. It allowed them to get an up-close look at how their important data is gathered, as well as discuss issues facing the industry. Damon Jones has the story.
With the ongoing battle for water rights between Florida, Georgia, and Alabama, having the most up-to-date information is vital when discussing the issues. It's the reason the Georgia Farm Bureau Water Committee holds meetings every few months.
Everybody gets involved in water, especially when you start talking about maybe a shortage and who's using most of the water. And the reason we have this meeting is we're trying to be sure that we have information and knowledge to be in all the discussions that's going on right now in our state of Georgia.
That's why it's now more important than ever for agriculture to get the most accurate information possible on water usage. And that's the purpose for the Stripling Irrigation Research Facility, who understands that water is a limited resource.
Our main mission is to connect the water and the plant together, and so we can get the most benefit from the water with actually the least amount of water. Therefore, we're conserving a valuable resource, which is water. Water is a very prominent resource that, as we all know, is dwindling all over the world, not only this country, but all over the world.
Here at the research facility, the latest technology is used to get the precise data needed to make important decisions both in the legislative arena and around the farm.
They getting this information so they can make those decisions, which is so vital and is going to affect so many people. They got to be informed, and that's what we're striving to give: correct data and positive data, so they can make that decision, say we need this, or we don't need that.
The information we're getting here is showing just how much water it actually takes to grow an acre of corn, an acre of peanuts, grow cotton, and to show that we are doing all the necessary things we can to preserve, not waste any of that water.
Also in attendance was new Georgia Farm Bureau President Gerald Long, who is making it a priority to attend as many of the more than 20 different commodity meetings held by the organization. And this one is of particular importance as a number of different water issues are being discussed at both the state and national level.
As the legislators in Atlanta, it's our responsibility to help educate them on water use, on the importance of agriculture in Georgia, which they know is the #1 industry in Georgia, and by us conserving water, maximizing use of water, that way we can educate them and hopefully they'll make some very wise decision on water regulations in Georgia.
Reporting from Camilla, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Hey everybody, Ranger Nick coming up. I'm hanging on the golf course talking with the superintendent about what goes into making this grass look so great and what goes into keeping the stuff we want on the golf course. Coming up.
Finally today, for someone like us, the golf course can be a place of both frustration and joy.
Yeah, but for Ranger Nick, it's all joy and it has nothing to do with hitting a golf ball. No, for him, it's all about the animals living on or around the golf course and the surface it's played on.
Well, the University of Georgia is known for athletics and academics for sure, but if there's one thing we're also known for, that's quality turf grass. And I'm hanging out with somebody today that knows a thing or two about it. Scott Griffith is spending some time with me. He's the superintendent out here at the University of Georgia golf course, and I wanted to talk with him about two things really today. One, about how the golf course is maintained and the things that you and your staff do to take care of it. And second, about some things that he does to control and even promote wildlife, because you know I'm a big fan of the critters out here on the golf course. Scott, let's say I got a friend of mine that believes that folks like yourself, those guys are just interested in tee times and golf carts and making sure that grass is green at whatever cost. What would you say to that friend of mine in the role that you play here?
Well, I'd say we're pretty good at those aspects. We do those things really well,
Good.
But that's not ultimately our goal here. You know, we're here to serve the mission and goals of the University of Georgia. We're here to be an asset to our students, an asset to our research, an asset to our teachers and faculty and staff. So we're a lot more than that for sure.
It's interesting, through a university, and you hear me talk a lot about cooperative extension, the role of what we learn here at the university, helping others in the community. So Scott, tell me something about what you're doing, an example of something you do here to take care of the grass when it comes to just watering it, to make sure that it's green.
Well, we use best management practices for our watering practices, and we use a lot of different technology to control our watering, and we do different testing to look at the quality of our water, the quality not only when it comes in but when it leaves the property. So there's a lot of things that go into it as far as the watering aspect is concerned.
Now, I don't want to put you on right on spot here on camera, but I'm guessing the water that comes in here versus the water that leaves here, all the fertilizers and stuff that you put on this, my gosh, it's got to be way worse coming out of here than coming into here. What do you think?
I like those questions because then I get to tell the story.
Good.
In actuality, that is a myth. We put down very minute amounts. We actually precisely put down exactly what we need. We create buffer zones around our water sources so we're not putting those products near those places. So we're very precision management when it comes to things like that. And we monitor. We constantly monitor. We're looking at things and making sure that we're being good stewards of the environment.
It's interesting there's that art and science to taking care of the grass. I'm wondering what things you're doing out here to manage and take care of wildlife. So let's check some of that out. Well, for the folks at home that might be thinking, okay, so Scott told him a little bit about his role in managing water and looking at water quality, but deep down, this guy's really just interested in green grass and making sure folks are out here at tea time. Well, Scott, Operation Pollinator, talk to us about that. Your role and others in your same shoes, what you're doing out there to take care and manage for wildlife like the bees.
Well, when we were made aware that there was a problem with pollinators and the lack of pollinators, not only bees but other pollinators as well. And one of the reasons behind that lack of pollinators was habitat. So we, as golf course superintendents, we're looking at this and saying, what can we do to help? Well, obviously, every golf course has some portion of their property that is not in use and out of play. So why not expand doing our part for the environment, and let's put in some pollinator plots and create that habitat that's being looked for.
It's interesting, and not only that, but the benefits aesthetically for folks who are here to recreate, to enjoy the flowers that are here, the bees, the other wildlife that come to enjoy this, the buzz on the street, is that these folks like yourself, Scott, are out looking out for the little things that live here, even the bees and things. So an amazing thing to know, and I hope the folks at home are realizing superintendents like Scott are out looking out for the environment, a steward of the land. That's great stuff. So Scott, standing out here along a beautiful pond at the golf course, obviously aesthetically pleasing, a great thing to be able to look at when you're hitting the balls. And, with Ray, he spends quite a bit of his time down here near the waters, but we'll edit that out later, Ray. Anyway, Scott, talk to me a little, this log in the middle of this pond, I look at that as, well, that's a beautiful habitat piece, but someone like yourself, surely, you and the folks that come here view that as just an eyesore, get it out of there. What would you say to that?
No, definitely not an eyesore. The tree actually naturally fell into the pond, and the first thought that came to my mind was turtle habitat, because we see them all the time in different locations and in other locations where the water's coming in, and what a perfect way to give them a habitat. When people come along here to hit their golf ball, you're looking at probably anywhere from 15 to 20 turtles just sunbathing out on that log. I mean, who would not want to see that?
So Scott and I have talked about the environmental benefits and the things that he does and other professionals like he does at golf courses to manage the grass and the wildlife. We've talked about the social benefits and the fact that people can watch those cute turtles on that log and enjoy recreating out here. Scott, what about the economic benefits, things that golf contributes economically? Talk to us about that.
Golf has a huge impact. Right now, golf as a whole, we contribute $76 billion to the U.S. economy. On a local level in the state of Georgia, we contribute $5.1 billion to the local economy in Georgia. And then our contributions, our charitable contributions, the game of golf as a whole contributes about $3.6 million a year to charitable contributions. That's more than any other professional sport combined. If we put all those professional sports together, we raise more in golf than those guys do.
It's incredible, the societal, the economic, the environmental benefits. Scott, I've really enjoyed hanging out with you today. Thanks so much for spending time, and thank you all so much for spending time with us. I hope this has left you with a lot of positive vibes about golf here in Georgia. If you want to learn more about the UGA golf course, you can click on the link on your screen there. Of course, while you're online, Scott, we encourage folks to go on to the Georgia Farm Monitor Facebook page, and while they're on there liking that, they can hop on over to the Ranger Nick Facebook page and check that out, because until next time, we always say on here, enthusiasm's contagious, so pass it on. For the Farm Monitor, I'm Ranger Nick. We look forward to seeing you right back here again next month. See ya.
All right, Nick, very good job, sir. That is going to do it for this week's edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Here's a reminder for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm. Be sure and check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and here on the Farm Monitor Show.
Take care, everybody. We will see you next week right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.